Hello viewers, welcome back to another episode of Careers Bistro. My name is Vetumene Shikage and I'll be leading you throughout this show where we dive into our Careers Hub publication as well as the show that supplements it, Careers Bistro. Now today we'll have a look at an interview that we got with the CEO profile for this week. Following that we will have a look at some of the career motivation that we have for you this week. Now, celebrating their 30th anniversary, Unam has decided for us to profile their alumni. Please stay tuned for those amazing videos just to get to see what the people and the alumni are up to. And then also we do have our company profile for this week, that is GIPF. We'll be taking a look at the premises and also sitting down with the CEO.
And we're joined here today by the Group CEO of Paratus Telecom, Skalk Erasmus. How are you, Skalk?
I'm doing very well, thank you so much.
So tell me, you were recently appointed as the Group CEO of Paratus Telecom. How has that been for you?
That's been quite a change, coming from an operations point of view, getting to know everyone that's involved, you know, refocusing on certain things, and also changing, you know, roles and responsibilities. So it's not been easy, but you know, it's also something that you have to implement and grow.
And when did you then assume this new position?
So the announcement was made earlier in April this year, and with our former CEO indicating he's going to step down as the CEO and take up the position as group chair. So I was CEO designate until the 4th of August this month, last month. And since then, when we did the launch of the Armada data center, the announcement was officially made.
And I mean, let's get to know a little bit more about Skalk. What's your educational background like?
My advice would be to do what you love and love what you do. So my career started in computers very early. When I was still at school, you know, I worked on my dad's computer. At the time, he lost his data a couple of times, you know, with me exploring technologies, and that was in the 80s already. You know, with the operating system was DOS, disk operating system, and I had to teach myself how computers work, and upgraded my skills, and also the computer itself, you know, from like 4-color CGA to 16-color EGA, and that was still even before the Pentiums came out.
Yeah.
And then after school, you know, I went back into studying computers. I did a couple of diplomas and eventually became a Microsoft certified trainer. And then started training people, Microsoft products, or, you know, all the Microsoft products, Word, Excel, Outlook, etc., etc. And then did my Microsoft certified system engineer. Really started getting to know the technical side of things. Eventually that led, you know, me to start my own ISP, providing internet services with the aim to, you know, to have a better internet service myself. And, you know, since then that had just expanded until we eventually formed Paratus, and where my job was really more operational. Did a lot of operational tasks, arranging things, running with projects, etc. So that was always my interest, and eventually that led, you know, to where we are today. You know, me stepping in as CEO, where I understand the working environment and, you know, technology and the internet. So
That's very interesting, but I would like to know now, what are some of the goals that you have set for yourself since your appointment?
Yeah, so now the biggest thing is to implement a new group strategy for group, because Paratus is not just a Namibian company.
Yes.
So we've got offices in 7 countries, and we're planning on expanding to even more countries. So a lot of my focus will now go into visiting these existing territories as well as new territories, and coordinating things, and making sure that everyone is aligned with our strategy going forward. So I guess the biggest challenge ahead is just restructuring, coordinating, and then grew the existing territories and building more infrastructure, more data centers, more fiber services, backhaul, metro, fiber to the home, fiber to the business. So I guess that will be the biggest task. It's just growing the revenue, growing the business, and expanding.
And do you have a time frame for these goals that you have then set for Paratus?
Yeah, so our goal at the moment is to double our turnover in the next 3 to 5 years. So that is quite an ambitious goal, which we are actively pursuing by the likes of building the existing businesses, and maybe also doing a couple of new acquisitions, buying similar companies that has the same vision or the same goal as what we have.
Align with the vision.
Correct.
That is interesting. But you were formerly the group, the COO. And what would you then say was your biggest accomplishment in that time?
It's been the launch of our data center, the Armada data center, that was also in the press. So that happened on the 4th of August. And that is quite a facility. I mean, if you have to build a project within of that nature within 2 years, that was quite an accomplishment. It was really a great project to be involved with, and I'm very proud to have done that and being involved with that. Obviously, it's not a single person doing it. It's a team of people. So leading the team and making sure that we can, deliver at the right time is important. So that I'm very, very happy about that. And then recently also the landing of the Google cable, the Ikuhanu cable, in Swakopmund.
Yes.
That happened in July, so the 1st of July. So that was a month earlier than the data center, but both of those are quite big projects, and we are the landing partner. Paratus is the landing partner for the cable in Namibia. Wow. So that's probably the biggest achievement that we as a company have done.
But I can imagine, having to spearhead a group of companies. I mean, how do you spend your downtime? If you do have any downtime, that is.
I do try to make time for myself. Whenever there is time, going to the gym, doing some cardio and exercises. But I also like taking time with my family and going places. I love traveling. I also ride Harley Davidson motorcycles.
Really? That's interesting.
So I do try to ride as often as I can. And then we do these out rides on a Sunday morning, or attending events, or what they call rallies. There was one recently in Swakopmund. And then people are driving from everywhere around the continent, to go to Swakopmund, for instance. So there's a lot of those events, and I also like to go to the movies. And I mean, some of my favorite movies was like Maverick, the Tom Cruise movie, Top Gun.
Really?
So I used to be a pilot as well. I mean, that movie inspired me to become a pilot. Even at a young age, I was always watching the planes flying over.
And you knew that you wanted to do that.
Yes, so unfortunately I couldn't join the Air Force after school, but eventually did my own private pilot license.
And do you fly still on occasion?
With other pilots, but not myself. I mean,
do you miss than flying by yourself.
Yes, but it takes a lot of dedication and effort and time,
Which I take you
yeah,
don't
which-
have much of
which
these
you don't
days.
always have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Skalk. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and getting to understand more of what your goals are for Paratus in this time that is to come. And I wish you the best with your journey
All right.
as the new Group CEO of Paratus Telecom. Do you perhaps have any words that you would like to motivate the young people that are aspiring to work in
Yes.
telecommunications?
Like I've mentioned earlier, do what you love what you do. I guess that is the biggest takeaway. You know, if you learn something and you're not really enjoying it, you don't like it, you're not going to have a happy life.
And you're not going to flourish in it.
Yes, so do what you love what you do, and start as early as you can. I mean, one of the things that I regret is not starting my own business earlier. I did learn a lot, you know, when I was still employed,
Yes.
as such, but you do really learn a lot if you do your own thing. And for all the Namibians out there, start your own business as soon as possible. And you'll learn a lot. And if you've got a mentor that can assist you, you know, then it's great.
Thank you so much, Skalk. There you have it from Skalk Erasmus, the Group CEO of Paratus Telecom.
This week's career motivation, as mentioned, is from Unam. The alumni that we've profiled for this week include Mr. Wazuva Kaumbi as well as Elsie Skrever. And just in these videos, you get to see what exactly these people are up to and what they do on the daily basis.
Yes, my name is Dr. Waluwa Kaumbi. I'm almost half retired now. I'm also getting into academia. I completed my doctorate in business administration from the University of Namibia, the Namibia Business School. So I'm also lecturing part-time at Unam, especially the MBA students. I'm lecturing environmental studies and also operational strategy, and of course in a few other subjects as well. I'm also a commercial farmer, so that's where I spend my passion is really into farming. I used to work for the National Housing Enterprise, where I was a senior manager for technical services for almost 10 years. And before that, you know, with the city of Windhoek, where I worked as a senior engineer, mostly in water services planning, design, and construction. Because that's my initial training is actually in engineering. And then I worked for a company called Afrikumba, you know, where I worked as a business developer. And then the past 2 or 3 years, I've been working with a company called, as the managing director for a company called APEM Mining Services. So that is where I am, almost semi-retired, like I was saying earlier. That is where I'm working, yeah. So that's more or less what I'm doing. And of course, I'm involved in a few other things. I'm a part-time writer as well. I do write. I was a columnist actually for the Windhoek Observer for 10 years, actually 9 years, you know, doing a column called Ongirio, where I wrote essentially just my heart out there, and I want to publish it into a book form. Yes, I think maybe for now.
Okay, I'm Elsie Skrever. I'm a manager of financial accounting at AgriBank. I would like to send out a congratulatory message to the Unam for its 30th birthday. I just wanted to give a little background about myself. I did not have an opportunity to go to for just 3 qualifications after high school, so I had to start to work. But then I enrolled on a part-time basis at the then NAST, and I obtained a diploma in commerce. And then I furthered my studies through the UNISA, a BTEC in business administration. So, and then thereafter, I did enrolled in 2015 at Unam through the NBS for a postgraduate diploma in business administration. Thereafter, I also enrolled again at Unam, same NBS, for the management MBA, management strategy. I graduated for both those degrees in 2017 and 2018. During these times, I faced a lot of challenges, studying whilst working on a full-time basis, being a wife and a mother. However, I had to persevere all the difficulties to prove that one can achieve whatever one desire when you put yourself to it. I thank you.
Now, it is important to recognize where you've attained your qualification, just as these great movers and shakers we've seen in the Unam Alumni Career Motivation. Now, heading over, we will be seeing the company profile for this week, GIPF, sitting down with the CEO, Mr. David Nuyoma, who tells us all about the company and what they have to offer. Please stay tuned for that video.
My name is David Nuyoma, CEO and Principal Officer of the GIPF, Government Institution Pension Fund. GIPF is a pension fund that was created in 1989. It is a defined benefit fund. A defined benefit fund means that the assets and the benefits of the members are guaranteed by the employer. In this regard, GIPF pays out various benefits to members in need. First is the retirement benefit. We also pay out normal retrenchment benefit in event a member is retrenched. And we pay out funeral benefits to members. The fund also pays out what we call death benefits, that is to the dependents of the member who passes on. In that regard, we pay for the orphans or the spouse who is a remaining spouse. The fund is the largest pension fund in Namibia, with assets of over 145 billion Namibian dollars. It invests these funds in order to grow the value of the fund. It also invests in various sectors. Broadly speaking, we invest in properties, in equities, in cash, where for liquidity purposes, and we invest in bonds. These are bonds that are issued by private corporates or issued by government or by the Treasury through Bank of Namibia. The fund invests in various regions. It is a requirement for all pension funds to invest 45% of their assets in Namibia or locally. And the balance is then invested in international equities or business opportunities in Africa and in South Africa. The fund has got various branches in Namibia. At the moment, we have 15 branches, 2 in Windhoek, Oshuarongo, Gobabes. This is necessary in order to make sure that we pay to the right applicants or to the right members or those who need to claim. And the verification, once the enrollment is done, verification will take place 3 times a year, just to make sure that these members are still in existence and not have passed on. So in general, GIPF is the biggest investor in Namibia by virtue of investing 45% of its assets. These assets are basically, when I say 45%, we are talking about close to 80 billion Namibian dollars invested locally. And they are invested in the listed assets through the stock exchange, but we also have a large portion that is invested in the general economy through unlisted and alternative investment, including infrastructure. By infrastructure, I mean things like electricity. And with regard to electricity alone, for example, we have invested close to 1.5 billion Namibian dollars. And this is to make sure that Namibia becomes self-sufficient in electricity generation and to keep the lights on. And we still have appetite to invest further in various infrastructure that show economic potential and good economic returns or financial returns. So that is the story of GIPF.
We are not done yet for this episode. We do have another segment, the news segment. Now this week we take a look at a donation that was done in the southern part of Namibia in Keetmanshoop, where NAMDEB donated beds and mattresses to a local community.
Schools are constantly under pressure due to lack of resources and capacity, and in particular regarding infrastructure and facilities. And unfortunately, I think the default in our country is often to blame government. Our government just hasn't done enough, or government should do this, or government should do that. And I think it is one of those things that we as a nation should address. Too often when I come to a place in the country and I see infrastructure or something that's been elected, people would say, we're waiting for government to come and repair or come and fix. And I think to a large extent we need to look more at ourselves as communities to say, what do we do ourselves to make sure that our infrastructure that is provided by government stay in a good condition. So maybe just as for those who don't know, both my parents were teachers. So I grew up in a house of teachers all my life. And my father always used to say that your education from a child comes only partly from textbooks. Most of our education of a child comes from observing the behavior of their parents and their teachers. And I think I've got a bit of a concern that in this country, often our children lack those contributes to the learning culture for our children. This request from the Karas Regional Director for support for a number of areas couldn't have come at a better time for us, given that my team has also come across a large number of unused beds and mattresses, and we thought this is actually such a good opportunity where we have equipment available and we can contribute a little bit more. And it really, I think, will assist towards this cause. This humble contribution that we are doing towards the community hostels, we're very proud of that. And we're very proud that the natural diamonds that we produce can actually make such a contribution towards the living conditions of pupils, and hopefully always towards better performance in school ultimately, because a child that feels at home, feels comfortable, and hopefully has got a good meal, also ultimately will result in better overall performance. There's a quote from environmentalist Maria Montessori, not environmentalist, educationist. Shows you I do a lot of environmental presentations as well. But Maria Montessori, she was a well-known educationist. She said, the work of education is divided between the teacher and the environment. And actually that is where we're stepping in. We're part of that environment, as NAMDEB. And of course we are not teachers, we are minors, but we know that through our contributions we can positively impact the environment that the kids are learning in, and support these children to really get the education that they need. This is really in line with our belief of doing the right things today for a better tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Viewers, we've come to the end of today's episode of Careers Bistro, and this is also the last episode for Careers Bistro. Now, if you are wondering where these amazing corporate companies will be, that'll be in the What's Cooking television show, which is also a Namibia Media Holding show. Please stay tuned for that show to get to see some of the people that we profile in the Careers Hub supplement. From me, this week, it's goodbye.